Hey, hey!
And welcome to the Mind Your Movies podcast. That's, of course, a Babu Frick quote from Star Wars for all the hardcore fans out there.
Hey, hey!
If you don't know who Babu Frick is in Star Wars, look him up. You'll
He's the
recognize him.
best.
But yeah, he's pretty cute. Um, I'm Ryan,
I'm Shane.
and today we're talking Star Wars. We're doing
Yes.
another tier list. So similar to the last, we did a Stanley Kubrick tier list recently. Um, and this might be a little bit better to view on YouTube if you'd like to. But if you're just
Yep.
hanging out with us on the podcast, that's cool too. We will be, talking through our decisions here and making notes of where we're putting stuff. So you should be able to follow along.
Yes. And this is the Mind Your Movies podcast, if we didn't say the name. But
Yeah, that's probably
that,
helpful. Yeah.
that's what this is. And we're going to be going in chronological order just to keep it simple.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's all. We should just get into it, right?
Yeah.
No
Let's just
messing
jump right in.
around.
And we're
Um,
starting with bangers. I mean, chronological
yeah.
order for these movies gives us some pretty good stuff right away.
Yeah. But Star Wars.
Star
We're
Wars.
the Star Wars
the
is
the
first.
very beginning, yeah. Um
Maybe I think the original is actually probably my favorite. So yeah, I think it's an S tier for sure.
I think it's an S tier. I think um the movie's just so good. It obviously spawns all the rest, but even just on its own, it's just a really great story that I mean the original trilogy is just such a great trilogy and such a great story that it builds. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, agreed. It's classic. Just so many iconic characters and lines and it's just a great adventure, like fantastic movie. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if there's that much we can say about the original Star Wars. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think one great thing is that like these movies are they have some humor in them, but they're not like overtly goofy, which unfortunately like some of the movies end up being, right? Like at least in hindsight. But there's
Mhm.
also like really cool practical effects in these earlier movies.
Oh
In
yeah.
A New Hope, you get like miniatures for that for all like a lot of the space stuff is all miniatures, of course, which is
In
really
the
awesome.
cantina is like all these cool practical creatures and stuff. Obviously, the original trilogy has been kind of desecrated by Lucas's edits and CGI adjustments and making Han shoot second and all that dumb stuff.
Yeah.
So that is pretty annoying. I really want them to just release the original movies as they were originally seen. And the edits wouldn't be so frustrating to me if the originals were just available. If you had a
Yes.
theatrical version and an updated version on the Blu-ray, then there wouldn't be any issue because you could have
Right.
both. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard to watch the movies as they were intended, which is so frustrating.
Yeah.
Um, but 1977, we're not too far. I think this is your theory, actually. I remember you saying that
Yes. Yeah. My
perhaps, yeah,
my theory was that on the 50th anniversary, maybe they would release a box set with the original trilogy all intact in their original form. Now part of me feels like maybe George Lucas has to die for that to happen. Like, I don't know if I have no idea. Maybe if it's in his contract or something like that. But you'd think it would make sense for the
yeah,
50th anniversary would be a perfect time to do it. Also, there hasn't been a Star Wars movie in, uh, well, like 6 years now, right? 2019 was Rise of Skywalker, I think.
yeah. They're relying a lot on these
TV, yeah.
series. Yeah,
Yeah, so that would be kind of a cool way to I guess there is supposed to be a new movie in the works, right? With
yeah.
Sean Levy, the Fall guy.
Mhm.
That sounds great. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it sounds like they're sticking with kind of their more modern roots and not going back to uh you know our favored movies perhaps unfortunately again like these were like serious and still fun but they weren't like overtly goofy. Um anyways,
Yeah.
Empire.
Also S tier.
S tier, of course.
Yeah.
Empire is actually my favorite, but I'm happy with it anywhere. I mean the I'm happy with these three honestly kind of floating around the same space.
Mm.
um this is
I would put Star Wars slightly above Empire, but
yeah
I'm also fine if you want to swap them. They're both obviously classics. I just think I really love the how Star Wars is its own enclosed thing. Empire is a little bit, it ends on a cliffhanger, and you know, it's not as much just an enclosed singular movie. It feels like
Yeah.
kind of a part one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Also, I think that just for kind of legacy sake, it makes sense to leave Star Wars as the best. If it is one of the best or the best, we might as well just leave it where it is. Um,
Hey, works for
yeah,
me.
yeah. I do love. I mean, like, there's some really awesome practical effects in Empire. Like the Wampa stuff is really cool. Um, yeah, we've got
Everything on Hoth. Hoth is so iconic.
yeah, and that battle is really great with those miniatures and everything.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, like these movies just it's so nice to like think back to these like really awesome practical effects they did because it really just made such a difference in the movies.
Yep. Yeah, and Lando is in this one, so that's cool.
Yeah,
That whole, what's it called? Cloud City, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
And then, I mean, I don't know, like there's not really too much to say. Like these movies are just. This is
Yeah,
probably why
they're
people are clicking on the list here. You know, y'all probably love these movies, these first
Yeah.
ones.
Well, part of the thing that is so interesting, I think, about Star Wars, the series, is that everyone has their own favorites, kind of, and there's so much. Now, when from 2015 to 2019, when those movies were coming out, it was like extremely toxic online, and it was just like vile hatred of people fighting each other and taking like this stuff way too seriously. Um, so ultimately, like that was mostly annoying to me, and I actually didn't watch a bunch of these in theaters because I was just annoyed by the fan base, basically. But I think
Yeah,
with a little bit of distance, I can appreciate how different everyone has their own interpretations of the series and their own personal favorites and the ones they connect with most. So I think if you asked 100 people to make a Star Wars tier list, you'd get 100 different uh lists, you know?
yeah. I would say though that these first three, I know that a lot of people love like Revenge of the Sith and stuff like that, but it's so hard for me to imagine me ranking anything above these first three. Like these first three definitely float around that like best, second best, third best for me. Kind of every time I watch them, I can kind of shift them around a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But they're my favorites. They're so good.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm 100% on the same page, but that's our perspective. Well,
Yeah.
hold on.
Oh, I'm just putting it up there
For
for now. We
for
can.
people on the just listening,
Yeah.
also our tiers are S, A,
Oh
B,
yeah.
C, D, and F, just for people who are listening and not on YouTube. But Ryan just threw Return of the Jedi up in S tier. I'm not gonna lie, I would put Return of the Jedi in A tier.
Whoa.
I think it's a step down from the first two movies. It's still a great movie, iconic. Ewoks kind of annoyed me when I was like a teenager and I was edgy, but now I've softened up in my old age. I think they're really cute and I like them. But this movie is a little bit of a turn toward the kid friendly direction it went, especially with like Phantom Menace. Uh, and I don't know, they just do another Death Star, you know? I just think I think the first two should be in a tier of their own. You know what I mean?
Okay. I can see this. I think my stipulation here is I can't imagine anything going above this in A tier, but I mean we can get there and see. But
I
I can throw
have
this in
one
A tier for
There's one movie I personally would put above Return of the Jedi in my ranking. Personally.
now. Wow.
Even though I don't think in this tier list we would do that, I think
Yeah.
there's one other movie I would put in A tier with Return of the Jedi.
Well,
I
I'm
think is
very
just as good.
cool. I'm interested to see. I mean, I think there's one more that I could see in A tier. Um, oh, there's maybe a couple more I could see in A tier, but definitely one more that like maybe competes. So I'm curious if it's the same one. We'll see.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll find out.
yeah.
But for now, well, is there anything else to say about Return of the Jedi? I feel like
Yeah, no,
we
I mean, I think this is another uh I just really like all the different sets here. Like there's so many different places they you know explore and the adventure continues in and stuff. And I think that's really neat here. Um But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty much it. This is like these are the core first trilogy. We've got currently Star Wars and Empire in S tier, and Return of the Jedi in A tier. I can
Would
live with
you
that.
put it would you put it in S tier? Like if you were just making your own list?
Um, it's funny because I haven't rewatched Return in nearly as long. I have like the despecialized movies, and I rewatched New Hope and Empire pretty recently, and I haven't rewatched Return in maybe a couple years. And so with that, like I'm inclined to just put it in S tier. But if I rewatched it today, I don't really know. I'm excited to rewatch it on that despecialized version, but
Yeah, that'll be cool.
um,
All
but yeah,
right.
I'm happy with it in A tier.
Okay. All right.
But that brings us to the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, sharp decline in quality here.
Misa thinks so.
Yeah, truly, I mean, maybe one of when it came out, like one of the most disappointing movies of all time. Obviously, I was only 2 years old when it came out, so I didn't give a fuck. But just its reputation from what you hear is that everyone was so excited for it, and then they watch it and they're like, what is this? What is this
Yeah.
Jar Jar Binks? Ugh.
Yeah, and everything in this movie looks just so fake because it is, and that's really disappointing. I think like I'm a huge fan of those practical effects and sets and everything they use to make the original trilogy feel so special and feel so real. And then in the Phantom Menace, it's obviously the first time that they kind of just undo that.
Yeah, definitely. I think George was going a little. He was a little ahead of his time with the digital cinematography and the CGI and everything like that. It doesn't really look good at all.
Yeah, and I can understand that like his vision is more vast than what he could make happen with practical effects, and I can understand wanting to complement those with other stuff that can help him make his vision what he wanted. But I don't think this one really hits. Yeah, this one looks pretty bad.
Yeah, it looks bad. It's pretty boring. It's the tone is kind of all over the place. It tries to be extremely kid friendly.
Right.
Um, yeah, pretty rough movie.
This is also, I mean, the beginning of the like lightsabers decline because like in the original trilogy, lightsabers serve as mostly a piece of the combat, but the combat is really like kind of intense and brooding and metaphorical. Whereas in these movies, the combat is very much just like people are like they literally are swinging their lightsabers and like flailing them around. And Darth Maul has
Yeah,
a two-sided lightsaber and can block attacks from both sides. And like it's really like I remember thinking that was kind of fun when I was a kid, but like
yeah.
it definitely contrasts sharply with the meaning and impact of lightsaber battles in the originals.
Yeah, they're flipping around and everything. I do think Darth Maul is like extremely iconic and cool, but also kind of underused, or not even kind of, very underused. Like they could have probably used him throughout the trilogy, but obviously that's not the way it goes.
Yeah. Well,
But
they do
just
try to
the
bring him back a couple times.
I guess so, yeah, yeah. But the just the I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
Phantom Menace, I think it's got to be either D or F tier.
Yeah. I see. I think I'm a little bit salty about a movie, and I want one movie specific to be like F tier.
Oh, okay.
Uh, and so I would
I
be
would
inclined to throw this in like bottom of D tier if other stuff ends up in D tier. But
Okay,
um,
I'm down for that. Let's put it in D tier. Let's put it in D tier.
awesome. So we've got Phantom
Is
Menace in D tier.
is the movie you're especially salty about Attack of the Clones?
It is. Yeah, I
Oh,
hate
okay,
this
cool. Me
movie.
too. That yeah, that's also my least favorite. Okay, cool. Let's just throw it in F tier. There we go. Yeah, this one is like really boring
Yes.
and really bad. I'm pretty sure this does this one have the sand or is that in Revenge of the Sith?
The Sand.
When he's talking about the sand with him and Natalie Portman, Anakin and
Oh, I think that might be this one. Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't remember,
But
but I think I,
anyway.
I could believe that monologue thing is in this. Yeah, this movie
Yeah.
was so bad. Um, there's like the Coliseum fight thing that is just all. I mean, it feels like you're playing a video game kind of. It's like a horde mode on a video game, but it also looks like a video game because the practical effect, the special effects are still looking very digital here. Um,
Yep.
there's a there's so
There,
much stupid garbage romance between Anakin and Padme. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, that stuff is really bad. Uh and Hayden Christensen did was not very good in this movie, from what I remember.
that's true.
Pretty tough the actors they chose for Anakin in the prequels, you
Yeah,
know.
Kid Anakin was like, well, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, not no, yeah. Kid Anakin is not very good, and part of that is you can't really blame the kid for that. He's just a
Right.
kid, but ultimately you got to blame George Lucas and the filmmakers, and I think ultimately George had a lot of freedom to do whatever he want, and he was surrounded by a lot of yes people, and maybe, didn't I don't know, didn't in the original trilogy there was a lot more collaboration. It seemed like he had other people direct Empire and Return of the Jedi, and even though he was very hands-on and involved, like I think I don't know, it wasn't he had other people's ideas in the mix that
Right.
probably helped him out. And yeah, this I mean Attack of the Clones just is a real stinker.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially what happened, right? It's like he made so much money in that original trilogy and created an iconic story, an iconic set of characters and setting and everything, right? The Force and a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, right? Like it's just so much stuff that's iconic and like kind of ingrained in pop culture that when it came around the time to make new movies, he was just kind of given all that freedom and blank checks to do, whatever he wanted to and whatever he could. And this is like another thing about these movies is the budget in the original trilogy is like something like it might be like $60 million for all three of the movies. Um, and it Phantom Menace is almost double that, right? And so that's um that's a huge increase in money. Like they're just giving him money.
Yeah, I mean he could kind of do whatever he wanted because he made so much money off like merchandising and everything from the original trilogy. So
Yeah.
it was really he could do whatever he wanted. Like in a way, these are kind of the I don't know. They're just like gigantic budget independent movies.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But Attack of the Clones, you also get like just so I don't know. Like honestly, there's everything there's like the jumping around Yoda in this one is the first time I don't think he jumps around in Phantom Menace, but
No.
in this one, he's
Yeah, he
oh man, what a disgrace.
there's also that scene where they're like the flying cars, and
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if you remember that action scene. I feel like the main issue with this movie is that it just feels like a lot of filler.
Yeah.
Like it's we kind of know where the story's going because it's a prequel. And that's kind of just the issue with prequels in general is that you you're kind of boxed in a lot of ways. Um and yeah, this one just felt like a lot of filler, and I think it's fair to put this just in F tier.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was like even going into the tier list, I was like, there's no way that this is not in F tier, this movie. I don't know. I mean, maybe people out there enjoy this. I know that people out there do enjoy this one, um, but I don't, and I'm sorry about that. I guess, but
Yeah, I don't know. I never really see Attack of the Clones defenders. There are the people that really like Phantom Menace, or there are people that really like Revenge of the Sith, but I never really see people defend Attack of the Clones.
yeah.
Um, but
Would
speaking
you
of,
do you want to
very good.
guess its letterbox rating though?
Oh, they're all like higher than they should be.
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
Attack of the Clones is it like around like a three?
yeah, it's exactly a 3.0.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah,
But yeah, so
and I
um,
think Revenge of the Sith is like a 4.0 now, or maybe a 3.9 or something.
yeah, the re-release in theaters for Revenge of the Sith did a lot of favors for it. Um,
Yes.
Speaking of Revenge of the
Yeah.
Sith,
Yeah, I think now I don't know if maybe we need an E tier in here, but I think Revenge of the Sith is a significant step above Phantom Menace to the
mm-hmm.
point where like I wouldn't even put him in the same tier.
Yeah,
So based on our thing right now, I'd put Revenge of the Sith in C tier.
yeah, that makes sense. Right now, we've got the original trilogy up in S and A. We've got nothing in B and C yet. Phantom Menace in D and Attack of the Clones in F. I also would agree that Revenge of the Sith is a significant step up from even Phantom Menace. So I mean, I'm happy putting it in C tier for now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think this is the best of the prequel trilogy for sure. And there's a lot of cool ideas in the movie and like some cool imagery. Obviously, there's the like final battle with the lava, like that is cool. And the you know putting on the Darth Vader mask at the end is cool. And like there's like some bones of a good movie in here, but it's
Hmm.
still like poorly paced and like there's bad dialogue and it's like a good movie hidden within a bad movie or maybe yeah, something like that. It's like a movie with good ideas that's poorly executed, I guess.
Yeah, and while they do kind of fix some stuff that uh some stuff that I didn't love about the prequels, there's more like actual stuff going on in this movie that like is meaningful, right? Like I feel like the prequels could have really just been this one movie stretched across three movies, right? Um, I mean, maybe
Or
not
just one
necessarily,
movie.
but yeah, just
Yeah.
one movie that'd be fine too.
Yeah,
Um,
or like I think there's actually a thing
yeah.
I haven't seen. I would love to see this one day, but Topher Grace, there's an interview with him where you can see him talking about this. He made a fan edit of the prequel trilogy as one like 80 or 90-minute movie.
Oh, that's
And he
awesome.
yeah, and he cut out like he cut obviously he cut out a ton of stuff, but it seems kind of cool. There people can go find it. There's an interview where he talks about it and it seems kind of interesting. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I that would be really cool. On the opposite end of that, there is like somebody out there that's made a Revenge of the Sith quote ultimate cut, that's like 4.5 hours long, that includes a lot of deleted scenes and scenes from the Clone Wars TV show. Is it called Clone Wars? I think the
Yeah.
animated TV show that like builds up between uh episode 2 and episode 3, and it's like 4.5 hours long, and I've sat through a third of that, and eventually maybe I'll finish it. But honestly, no one's gonna sit down for 4.5 hours to watch this all at
No,
once.
that yeah, that sounds
Um,
awful.
and you know what surprised me though is I've never seen some of the deleted scenes, and some of the deleted scenes for some of these movies, Revenge of the Sith, sorry, just Revenge of the Sith. Some of the deleted scenes are like extremely oddly toned. There's like one deleted scene when uh, they execute a Jedi in front of uh, Anakin and Obi-Wan while they're like trying to get to Count Dooku, and they're like trapped in like a some sort of like force bubble or like whatever, like behind a shield or something. I forget, but and they just watch someone get executed. I was,
Wow.
and then right when they do that, they're both making jokes. And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, you're like, presumably your friend just died. Like, you probably know this person.
Yeah,
And what?
yeah, this movie has a lot of those kind of issues. Like and like Anakin like murders a bunch of children.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then that's kind of just an issue with this whole idea of this story is okay, this guy becomes like Space Hitler times a million, and then at the end he like sacrifices himself and he's supposed to be redeemed. That
right.
doesn't make any sense at all. That's just just sounds fucking crazy to me.
Yeah, which, like, I feel like the original trilogy, it's a little bit more ambiguous on like how bad. I mean, Vader's bad, but like Vader's in the mix of an empire, right? Like he's under the control of the emperor and all this stuff. And but then like
Eh,
looking back at yeah, maybe you don't.
that's one of my issues with Return of the Jedi, I think, is that
Mm,
the trying to like redeem Darth Vader at the end is like, what are we doing? This is
yeah.
like the original movie. He's like one of the most iconic villains of all time because he's just like pure terrifying evil. Like,
Yeah, he blows up a planet.
yes, he blows up a planet. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And at the end they're like, well, he did sacrifice himself at the end when he was already gonna die anyway. Like very
Yeah.
very silly to me.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But I think especially in the prequels, they like he just slaughters a classroom of kids. It's like the total shift from being like a kid himself not too long ago and like building a droid and then like slowly becoming a Jedi and like kind of being a little rebellious to like slaughtering a, a, a group of children is like a huge jump. That's like they don't do a very good job at selling me on that jump. That
Yeah, and they had 3 movies to do it.
yeah,
And
and
somehow
instead, right, yeah, and they don't do it.
yeah,
And
crazy.
these movies are long too. These are
Yeah.
like 2.5 2 hours at least. I mean,
Yeah, they're
um,
all like probably around 220 or 2.5 hours. Yeah.
right, which isn't like novel to these prequels. All these movies are long, but like the fact that you had these 3 movies to do that, and you like it's your one job in these 3 movies essentially is to sell the audience on Anakin becoming a terrible person, and instead they really don't. They focus too much on Yoda flying around and using a lightsaber and Obi-Wan's development as a character and stuff and like cool, but where your goal here is still not accomplished at the end, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. So
Okay, let's move
also,
away from the prequel. Oh,
well, the one
sorry.
thing about Revenge
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
Sith, Revenge of the Sith is actually in my brain the first movie I remember seeing in the theater. Yeah.
I think that might be the case for me too. I went with my uncle and my brother, and I have no idea if, I mean, I couldn't have remembered anything before that really for movies. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean 2005, I would have been 8 years old about.
yeah,
Uh so yeah, I mean I'm sure maybe I went to something before then that I just don't remember. But but yeah, so I kind of wanted to see it in theaters when on the re-release just for that reason, but then I didn't end up going. So yeah.
yeah. I felt kind of similar, but I honestly had rewatched Revenge like actually with I think it was with you not too long ago, a few years, and when the re-release happened, I was kind of like, I kind of wish this happened a few years ago or like whatever. Like I think it's a little too early for me to rewatch this one. Like the original trilogy, I can rewatch like every year probably, but the prequels, I got to give it a little bit of time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, all right.
um,
Well, I guess we move on to the Disney sequel trilogy. And we are going in chronological order, so we're gonna have the 2 spin-offs in between.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got The Force Awakens in this is 2015. So this is
Yes.
we have a big time jump here. Uh, and I kind of like this one.
Yeah, this one's okay. It's all right.
It's
It's very
yeah.
much just rerunning the original, so it doesn't really have any unique charm to it, but it's like a pretty well-made, entertaining movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and it feels like it's not fully like when Disney took over, right? Like I think there was a lot of fears that Disney would just totally ruin everything right away. And I think there was a lot of surprise that it didn't, right? Like I think that's part of like the expectations might have been kind of low for me going into this movie. And then I was like, hey, that was like a pretty enjoyable movie. So
Yeah,
that could play a big factor for me for sure.
I get that. Yeah, it's just a little unoriginal to me
Yeah.
is probably the main reason. Obviously, like
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't really do anything new or unique. So
Yeah.
I think it's probably I don't know, just the way we have our tiers set up. I guess B tier makes the most sense for it.
That's where I would put it too. If we had another tier, I could see it in like a C tier if Revenge was like lower, but I'm happy
Yeah,
with it in B tier for now. I mean, I think uh we don't have too many more movies, so I think it's okay that we're kind of spread out pretty well.
yeah,
That is
yeah.
one
We
thing that's interesting about the prequels. I know I'm jumping back a little bit, but I think this is shown in the sequels also, but it's not in the original trilogy. It's just the diversity in quality. In the prequels, Phantom Menace is like I would rewatch Phantom Menace certainly more frequently than um Attack of the Clones, but Attack of the Clones, I don't even want to watch that movie. I like
yeah,
and then Revenge of the Sith, it's like, yeah, I mean, like a lot of people went to theaters to see that movie, and a lot of people really enjoy that one and stuff. But
yeah. That's part of what I think makes the Star Wars series interesting for a tier list is that it's all over the map in a lot of different ways.
yeah, it's
Um,
weird, like the originals, they're just all really, really good.
yeah, yep. And then obviously they had J.J. Abrams for Force Awakens, and then they whatever. Well, I guess we'll get to them as we go on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess we just move on to Rogue One.
Yeah. And I like Rogue One.
I also like
I
Rogue
like it a
One.
lot.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I think I'd put it in B with Force Awakens.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
that. I think that makes the most sense. I would you put it above Force Awakens or below?
I would put this above Force Awakens, but
All right, I'm with you.
cool.
That
This
was easy.
one, yeah, this is fun because it doesn't feel particularly um like it doesn't feel like you're just rehashing anything. It's a totally new story. It's almost more of like a war movie, really.
Yeah,
Um, and it's really fun to see that in a Star Wars lens.
yeah, I agree. Again, this is a prequel, which is something that I generally dislike, but I think it's actually like a really well-made movie, solid. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of cool imagery. I'm pretty sure this movie has like Mads Mikkelsen on that cool planet, right? Is that this movie? The like black planet and all that
Yes.
stuff. Yeah, that was really cool. I wish there was more of that planet in there,
Mm.
but that's okay.
Yeah, I think it's like it's really interesting because it's so different than any of the other Star Wars stories too. It's like, you're following around a crew of uh kind of more almost more like just soldiers, right? Like there's no necessary like force wielding or anything like that. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I need to
Yeah.
rewatch Rogue One to be honest.
Yeah, it was actually I was hoping to rewatch it before we did this, but I didn't end up doing that, and that's okay. I think I do want to rewatch it soon. It's like definitely on my list, but as with all things, oh, there's so many movies.
Yeah, right. Yep.
um,
All
well,
right.
the
Now
last,
the
yeah,
controversial one, The Last Jedi. This is the one that I would put above Return of the Jedi.
that's
This
crazy.
this movie's awesome. This movie's great. Ryan Johnson takes it. This is everything wrong with Force Awakens. Last Jedi flips it, and it makes unique, interesting choices. It makes the characters more interesting. I'm just like a big fan of pretty much everything that this movie's doing.
Okay, I do like this movie, and I definitely like it more than Force Awakens. I don't like it more than Return of the Jedi, but I could see it above or below Rogue One. Like it for me, it's kind of in that same range. Um,
I
Rogue
think this
One,
is A tier for sure.
okay, I could see this A tier with Rogue One kind of top of B or something like this, right? Like where it is now.
Mm.
Um, so if we're putting this in A tier, that kind
If
of that kind of means essentially it's the best movie after the trilogy, and you think it's actually better than one of the originals, and that's cool.
Yeah, I just like that it goes in unique, interesting directions. I think
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Johnson's actually like a good, interesting filmmaker to make these. And yeah, I thought Last Jedi was pretty great.
Yeah, I do really like this one, so I'm happy with it in A tier. For me, where for you it's like Return of the Jedi and this are kind of bound, or maybe the fighting points. For
Yeah.
me, it's like Rogue One and this are kind of fighting.
Mm, I
So
could
I
see
could
that.
like for example, I could have
Should
seen Rogue One in A tier as well, but
we could I'm not against putting Rogue One in A tier.
cool, let's do
We
it.
can put Rogue One bottom of A tier. Why not?
Yeah, all right, that makes me feel better about having
But this
Last Jedi in A tier.
so
Also,
this is the thing, like, I don't know. Like I feel like we should have another like tier toward the bottom so we could shift things down a little bit.
that's fair. That's
Maybe.
fair.
We'll see. We'll see.
But yeah, we can always adjust. But so
Yeah.
just for a recap right now, because we've only got a couple movies left. Right now we've got S tier with Star Wars and Empire. A tier has Return of the Jedi, followed by The Last Jedi and Rogue One. B tier's got just Force Awakens. C tier's got Revenge of the Sith. D tier has Episode One, Phantom Menace. F tier has that other garbage prequel. Sorry, Attack of the Clones. Um, and that leaves us with just Solo and then Rise of Skywalker. Uh,
Yep. Yeah.
so yeah,
Solo. I mean, you actually just watched this for the first time.
I did. Yeah, I watched this in preparation for our tier list here because when it came out, I never got around to it. Uh, I what is it? 2018. This is the
Yeah.
last. Yeah, this is the last time they made a spin-off movie. So they did Rogue One, and then they did this 2 years later. And I think the kind of expectation was they were going to make more, and Solo did not do very well financially. It made a lot of money, but it cost a lot of money. It cost $275 million to make, just to throw out numbers there.
Mm,
Crazy,
yeah.
crazy.
I think there
Uh,
are a lot of reshoots on this movie too, maybe.
that makes sense. I think I did not like this very much. It feels like they're really rushing through they're just trying to hit like everything that Solo ever says. And
Yeah.
and that feels very lame. And then there's also like every combat in this is like the best plot armor I've ever seen in my life. These people are wearing. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, this one definitely was pretty weak. A lot of the member berries, fan service type
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Uh yeah, I think this is maybe B or C tier.
Okay. See,
I don't know.
I could see this like bottom of C, top of
Oh,
D is kind of where
oh
I'm
wow.
thinking. Like, yeah,
So you think it's worse than Revenge of the Sith for sure.
yeah, I like Revenge better than this.
Wow.
Um,
All right. I'd say
I yeah.
I think it's better than Phantom Menace. I think
Oh
that would
yeah.
be I think to put it in D tier would be a little extreme, but we can put it at the bottom of C tier. I think
Okay.
I'm cool with
I can
that.
see that. I can say that so as a little bit of I actually had to like pause, like I'm a little angry about this movie because first of all, I don't have Disney Plus because uh whatever. And so I rented this, and
Damn.
I've heard like mixed things about it. So some people that I know really like it, and some people I know don't like it. And so I went in kind of like, okay, that's okay. I can have like mid-range expectations and see how it goes. And I got so bored watching it yesterday and so like angry at all these things they're doing to the character. And I was like, no, I gotta do something else. So I paused it. And then later in the and then today, this morning, before the episode, before we were recording, I decided to finish it, and and finishing it up didn't make me feel any better. They just keep, and then there's like a stupid Darth Maul thing at the end where they're trying to like allude to him being, or no, he's just back, and it feels like they're trying to set up another spin-off movie, but obviously they don't end up doing that because this movie did not do well. Um,
Hey,
and yeah,
I would watch a Darth Maul spin-off movie. That could be
yeah.
cool.
I mean, I think like part of my dislike for Solo is also just that, and this is not it's the fault of the movie itself, although kind of, but the critical reception of the movie was so bad that it like stopped Disney's plans of doing more spin-offs and tie-ins. So instead we get all these like The Mandalorian and Obi-Wan, and we get these TV shows that I don't particularly want to watch full TV shows for Star Wars, you know.
Yeah.
Um I'm sure some people love that they're doing the TV shows, and I think that's great. And I know that people are like raving about Andor, and I would love to watch Andor, but again, it also bothers me that they're locked behind Disney Plus, and that yeah,
It's
whatever.
yeah, it's just a lot of time to commit to it. I haven't watched like any of the TV shows, but in a way, I'm kind of glad that they aren't totally watering down the movies to where it's like, oh, now we'd have like 15 Star Wars movies and they're
Right.
coming out because they were making them one a year for 2015 to 19. So to keep up with that pace, like just would have been ridiculous and people would
Yeah.
have got sick of it. Almost kind of like what's happened with the MCU. I feel like people have
Oh
kind of
yeah.
just gotten sick of the MCU and it was oversaturated.
Right.
Um,
And it doesn't help that when they were doing it this quick, they just weren't doing well, right? Like uh with
I think it
a
made
part,
money.
it made money, yeah, but like Solo and the next one that we're gonna talk about,
Yeah, oh boy.
both they cost so much money, and they really, even though they make money, they don't make nearly what they were expected to, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess so. I don't know. I don't remember all the numbers off the top of my head, but I I think Solo is not that bad of a movie. Again, now this is going to be controversial. Also, I feel like the comments on YouTube, I mean, we don't get a lot of
Oh
comments, but I
yeah,
feel like it's going to be it could be a disaster of people
yeah.
getting mad at our opinions. But I'm going to say a controversial opinion. I never really liked Han Solo. I think
Mhm.
he's an asshole and kind of just seems like a dick for most of the movies. And so I don't have some connection to Han Solo, so I don't really care about any of that stuff. And
Yeah.
obviously the fan service is annoying, and that's probably the worst part of pretty much all the Disney sequels and stuff. But like the movie was shot by Bradford Young,
Yeah.
who I really like. It actually looks like pretty good, and like it's not a good movie, but it's not horrible in my opinion. Um, so yeah, I thought it was just okay. I guess that was my
Yeah.
half-hearted defense of Solo.
Yeah. No, and I agree. Like I feel like first of all, I'm not really like a big solo defend like Han Solo defender in the character, but I do feel like this character feels so much different than the
Mm.
original, right? Like you said, the original is kind of a jerk, right? This character is like literally the decision he makes at the end of the movie feel, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but it feels so distant from what his character would be expected to do, maybe. But they can't do what his character would do from the original movie. That would be crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
ever since like Han, they took away Han shooting first. Like
yeah,
his character just keeps getting watered down.
right.
So it's like he's an asshole, but then also you're supposed to love him, and because the way I don't know, just the way that people did love him, I guess, in the original trilogy. But
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know.
But I do think that if this movie wasn't about Solo, if it wasn't about Han Solo, if this was like a different kind of like Rogue One type thing, where it's like a different group of people that are doing something that's Star Warsy, but it's not necessarily trying to redesign characters and whatnot, like I would like it a lot more. And because I do think it's like very competently made, uh, but like it looks a lot better, obviously, than Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones or even Revenge of the Sith. But I
Yeah,
just think that so much of it kind of drags it down because it tries so hard to redesign something from the original.
yeah. And I will say, I think that's a big reason people like Andor, right? Is because isn't Andor just kind of its own? I mean, I guess neither of us have seen it, so
Yeah.
we don't really know. But I'm pretty sure it's just its own thing.
Yeah, that sounds right. But again, yeah, I haven't seen it. But and I know that's like I did see almost all, I don't know, a good part of The Mandalorian while I
Mm.
had Disney Plus, and I think like the first two seasons, and I liked The Mandalorian, and again, it's like its own thing, right? My least favorite parts of that is when they include uh, old characters, right?
Yeah,
And and I think that's kind of a similar. I would say that's not a unique opinion about those TV shows, right? Like I think people
yeah,
didn't like Obi-Wan, right? Because it was about a character that people know so much about and already have opinions about and all this stuff, right?
yeah. Uh, yeah. Aren't they making a Mandalorian movie too?
I think they are.
The
Yeah.
Mandalorian and Grogu, it's called, I think, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that supposed to be coming out maybe like next year or something like that?
I think that sounds all right. Yeah.
Hmm.
That sounds all correct. I have
Yeah.
no idea how the movie's going to be, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, that show is pretty good. I just hope that for the movie, you wouldn't have had to see all the show, which I feel like you probably will.
Yeah, that's another thing that's happened with like Marvel as well, is that all the movies get tied in with the shows, and now it's just
Yeah.
too much of to ask of people. Um,
Yeah. Like Thunderbolts is like five characters, excuse me, five characters that are pretty much all introduced in other media.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So not
I think,
ideal,
yeah. Yeah.
but
Anyways, we got one more movie to talk about.
yeah, we got Rise of Skywalker. Not a good movie. Bad movie. Actually, as someone who really liked Last Jedi, it like has clear disdain for The Last Jedi. This movie annoyed me. I really disliked it. I think I would put it in D tier.
Yeah, we're back to J.J. Abrams here.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty stupid. And like it just doesn't work at all in this trilogy in that it tries to undercut everything the previous movie was doing.
right.
So it's just like the whole it makes this whole sequel trilogy kind of a uh ill-fitting mess.
Yeah, it's like there's clearly two creative minds here in the sequel trilogy because, uh, well, more than two, but at least in
I'd
directorial.
say one creative mind and then a corporation making a lot of business decisions.
Yes. And it feels like there's a lot of like just redesigning stuff. Like they just didn't end up liking how the last movie was. So they're like, we could just change it, right? And it's like that's not really how that works.
Yeah, it feels like a boardroom put a lot of this stuff together for this movie.
Right. Yeah. And it feels like they're also just trying to like again, there's a lot of member berries here. it feels very like I mean it is right after Solo, right? In chronological order. So like it feels very much along those lines too of like, hey, remember this? Remember this character? Hey,
Yep.
this is gonna, hey, here you go, hey,
And
meet
the
this.
I think I guess well to avoid spoilers, I don't know. But there's a scene in this, a fake out that is one of the most annoying things I can remember. Uh something explodes and you assume someone is dead
Uh
if you remember this.
you know, I don't know if I remember this. I probably should, but I don't.
Okay,
Just spoil it.
anyone
Yeah,
watching, anyone listening,
close your
spoiler
ears.
alert.
Yeah,
Yeah,
take the
yeah.
headphones out.
I'm sure everyone watching this has seen the Star
Yeah.
Wars movies. If you haven't, this is a
I
spoiler.
I
They
would guess
they
that,
fake
yeah.
they fake
Go.
kill Chewbacca.
Oh, oh my God. That's
Yeah,
right. Oh,
yeah,
that
they
was
blow
so dumb.
yeah, it was extremely dumb.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh, now I'm angry.
very stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this movie sucks.
Yeah. And there is a couple cool things like that fight on the with all the waves and stuff is okay and whatever. But I would probably put it in D tier, maybe above Phantom Menace. But yeah, this movie sucks.
See, I would agree D tier for this. But I would maybe argue below Phantom Menace because of rewatchability. Like I feel like I would probably rather rewatch goofy crap out of Phantom Menace than erasure of the series out of this.
Wow.
I
All
don't know.
right. I mean, hey, go ahead. Why not?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm fine with me. I think to me, like Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace are like the two worst.
Mm.
But yeah, Rise of Skywalker would be like third worst. So I mean, well, that's cool with me.
See, to me, I have a little bit of like, I have a little soft spot for Phantom Menace. Not a big soft spot, but like, um, I think I like saw it more than a couple times as a kid for some reason.
Mm,
And you know what it is? I think my sibling really liked Kid Anakin, like, which is crazy. But um, and so I think as a kid, like I saw this a few times, and so I think I have like a lot of good memories associated with it, maybe. And
mm.
so like like for me, Phantom Menace is more rewatchable than certainly than Rise of Skywalker and Attack of the Clones and maybe even like Solo. But I'm not gonna. I just watched Solo one time and
Yeah,
whatever. Um,
I see what you mean.
but yeah,
That makes sense to me. I'm cool with that.
cool. Well, I would say this is a pretty understandable tier list. I would agree with everything here.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know. Our A tier is a little
Yeah, it's a little
honestly.
cluttered.
I'm not mad at it though. I think those movies being above Force Awakens makes sense, and obviously they're not S tier.
Right. And that's kind of how I feel too. I think there is a lot of discrepancy in the quality of those three, but I also don't think the two of us would agree on switching them into like two different tiers, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's a little bit of a mishmash because I like The Last Jedi too much, probably. Or you don't like it enough, let's be real.
Right, right. We have, yeah, we could balance.
I mean,
I think if we balance how much we like it, it ends up right here.
The Last Jedi has Babu Frick, I believe. Is that the introduction of Babu Frick? I think it is. It also has uh like it's just awesome.
Yeah.
It has
I
the
gotta look it up.
the cool salt thing, you know?
The Last Jedi, is that the introduction of Babu Frick? It probably is.
I think it is. And you know, it's got edgy
Oh,
Luke.
it's
Like,
definitely Babu Frick. Yeah.
yeah. It actually makes Luke like an interesting character for the first time in this entire series.
Yeah.
Like the kind of the whole point of him is that he's kind of like bland and you can just project yourself onto him as the protagonist, which is fine and it works for the original trilogy. But I think I really liked the direction that it went of him being disillusioned and uh a hermit on this cool island.
Yeah. I think that is an interesting thing about the movie. I do think it uh it's one of those things that makes me like so curious of like what happened to him. Like we never get any of that explained, which is fine, but it is one of those things like if we got more tie-in movies, that would actually be an interesting, I don't know how they would do that because I'm honestly, unfortunately, they would probably just de-age him and I hate that, so never mind.
That
But
would be awful. They
yeah, I would not like that. but but like learning more about what happened to lead up to him becoming a hermit would be interesting, right? I would be inclined to watch something like that.
Yeah, I could see that. He kind of turns into a Yoda-esque character, I feel like.
Yeah,
And Yoda is one
right,
of the best characters in Star Wars. Also, for anyone out there, if you go to our Instagram, which I believe is Mind Your Movies Podcast, all one word, we have a reel on there where we drafted Star Wars characters. So
right.
go find that. It's kind of a fun little. It's like a 1 minute long reel. So
Yeah,
it's kind of actually fun.
yeah. We haven't been doing the reels very often, but
Nah, we gave up on the reels.
yeah, right. Um, yeah, but they are pretty fun. I think it's nice that we still have that as a catalog of things for people to look back on, which is cool.
Yeah, it was fun. And I wouldn't be against doing more, but I was just, you know,
Yeah. One of the difficult
time.
things, yeah, right. It's just time, right? I mean, we don't, this is not our jobs, right? Of course. We're just
Yeah,
doing this because we want to talk about movies. And
yeah,
that's all.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's, I think, so just in case you're listening on not YouTube, I'll just really quickly run through our final tier list so that you know how to yell at us, what you don't agree with. We've got S tier again with New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, A tier with Return of the Jedi, The Last Jedi, and Rogue One, B tier with The Force Awakens, C tier with Revenge of the Sith and Solo, D tier with Phantom Menace and Rise of Skywalker, and then F tier with Attack of the Clones.
Yep.
That's our list.
Completely accurate, 100% correct. No
Right.
one can disagree. But yeah, check out the YouTube and leave a comment. Leave a civil, normal comment. And if you disagree with people, disagree respectfully, like
Right.
humans, unlike uncivilized animals who are screaming at each other because they don't like the same movies.
Right. Right. Yeah, we are not we're not Wookiees, right? So keep it, keep it
Wookiees are way more civilized than some Star Wars fans.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, we would love to hear your guys' thoughts on these movies. And again, we haven't rewatched all these very recently necessarily. So like I'm happy to be like wrong about some of these, right? Like or whatever. Or you can just disagree and that's fine too. If you love Revenge of the Sith, I'm glad.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith, we gave it a pretty favorable rating, I feel like,
Yeah.
considering that we don't really like the prequels very much. I think it got a pretty fair shake in this one.
Yeah.
This definitely made me want to rewatch Last Jedi and Rogue One, I will say.
Yeah. I agree with both those. Yeah. And I really want to finish up my despecialized stuff. I got to finish up
Yeah.
Return. It'll be fun. But
Yeah. Cool. All
great.
right. Well, I guess that's that for the tier list. If you don't know, we also are a podcast. We do episodes every week. We do either a regular episode or a half. This is one of our half episodes, technically. Uh, Check us out on the podcast apps. We got an episode coming out next week about low budget movies, and we're going to be talking about Clerks and Paranormal Activity. And then we got some 28 days later stuff the week after that. So, subscribe to us on the podcast apps, on our YouTube. We got Instagram, we got Letterboxd as well. Mind Your Movies, all one word. You can follow us there, and you know, we got all our links on there. So check us out. We appreciate you watching, and may the
And in the
force
meantime,
be with
may
you.
the force be with you. That's right. There we go.
That was lame.
No, we loved it. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time.